Hello, I'm Nelson Liu, and thanks for joining us for Western Perspective. Well, COVID-19 has had devastating impacts to the arts and entertainment industries, with job losses and a lack of work because of social restrictions in the pandemic. But one newly unemployed DJ and performer has taken it upon herself to reinvent her career and create new work as a writer as the crisis takes hold. This week, we look at how Victoria Hainsworth has fought back against the coronavirus's impacts to employment and how it's forged a new opportunity for her future.
Definitely a way of life. I've been DJing, I've been recording music, dancing. I just love it all. It's a huge outlet for people. That's people's happiness. It gives me a lot of happiness. I started when I was 18. I went to Ibiza and I worked as a holiday entertainer in a resort in Spain. I really wanted to be part of the show, so when I was 18, well, a week before my 18th birthday, I left Perth and I went to Ibiza to audition. When I was in Ibiza, I actually started using the sound equipment for the shows, so I would DJ for the shows. I got pretty good at it. Then when I came back to Perth, I had a business, my own business as a DJ. I bought my own equipment and we did parties, kids parties, also weddings, corporate events, things like that. I sold my business and I went to New York. In New York, I was there for 4 years and I did all kinds of jobs there. And then I also DJ'd. But I started recording music there. So I started writing my own songs. I recorded 15 songs. I've performed at Times Square Art Centre and at the Trump Tower in New York on Lexington Avenue, United Nations building. For DJing, I've travelled more than 9 different countries actually on contract as a resident DJ. I'm number 12 at the moment in Australia for top DJs, and I've won different prizes and things like that. Basically what I do is involves people gathering and being happy. But it always seems to work out, except for now with this coronavirus thing. Basically all of my work has gone, my DJ work, here and abroad. There's nothing going on at the moment from any of the agencies that I've worked with or any of the projects I was working on. I was booked for 32 gigs here in Perth and they were all cancelled. So I also got a job on Disney Cruise Line as their resident DJ, and they only have 2. They've got 4 cruise ships and only 2 of them have DJs, and I was hired as their resident DJ. But now that's on hold, obviously, because Disney is not sailing for a while. It's frustrating. It was hard when I came back. It's really hard because I'm a super social person. I had a schedule, so that helped me to stay positive. I was spending time with my family, doing board games. I love to go out dancing. I love to meet people. I love to have lunch. I love to be outside in the streets, enjoying everything. So yeah, I do feel like a fish out of water. It really feels like I've had to change my whole life around. I've decided to focus on a new career. So I've decided to write and focus on making stories. So I've been wanting to write this story. It's called The Cuba Story, and it's based on an experience I had in 2012 going to Cuba and actually getting stuck there. And it's all about my adventures and how I managed to get away. And I'm turning it into an audiobook. I'm working on that now. I've registered it with the Australian Writers Guild. I've made a film trailer for it, and I'm hoping to make it into a film. I'm also working on another one called Catch a Liar, which is a secret agent story. I've already submitted my stories to a few competitions. I've entered into the Elizabeth Jolley short story competition, which is a really great opportunity. Music is not out of the question. Actually, I have a song coming out next month. It's on Carilla Records. It's called Latin High. Arts and entertainment is what keeps people happy. But you know, I'm putting it into other adventures now. It's really a shame that that's all happened now, but hopefully in the future I could do it again.
And now, AMAWA President Dr. Andrew Miller talks about this week's developments on COVID-19.
Dr. Andrew Miller, President, AMAWA, thanks for coming out on Mother's Day. Mother's Day. It's a great day to talk about things that matter. I don't think any mother has ever had an easy life, particularly. Certainly not all the time. And I want to acknowledge that and acknowledge what mums have been through over the last little while as they are concerned for what this disease means for their family, for their children, and for their parents, who often they're looking after as well as their own children. Some people, because of not having our mum around anymore, and we'd also like to pay respect to those people and let you know that we're thinking of you with empathy and love on what can be a difficult day. But mainly it's about hope and about looking forward at the moment, and the government have for some aspects of what we're looking forward to. Obviously, at the AMA, we're always looking at how we can make suggestions for improvement and how we can apply a bit more imagination to where we're going as a state in particular, because we're not going back to 2019. And I think some people in the community may not have realised yet that we're not going back to the life that we had before. We're going forward to something a bit different, which can still be very good. So the three things the Premier talked about, the hard border, the regional restrictions and the way we've dealt with cruise ships are things that the government should rightly be proud of the way they've managed it, because they've been, we agree, the key to success. The AMA, of course, and the clinical leads of our three major hospitals were the first ones to come out and call for a closure of the West Australian border at a time when we were told it wasn't possible. The regional restrictions to keep those very vulnerable areas away from this disease for as long as possible, so that we can work out the plans for how we're going to deal with sick people in those areas. And the cruise ships, transferring those patients to Joondalup Health Campus. 43 cruise ship patients went there with COVID in the end. Sadly, 3 passed away. We should remember them. And that, again, was something where we're very proud of the way that our profession intervened, stood up for itself and said, we think this is the best thing to do to treat them at Joondalup. So we're assuming that we have no community spread in WA, and that's great. Our confidence in that will grow over time. It's not super high at the moment because of the low testing rate in Western Australia compared to other states and other parts of the world. West Australians might be surprised to learn that we're still testing at about half the rate of many European countries, at around 21,000 tests per million people here. We've tested less than the USA, we've tested less than the UK. So it's good that we have another week before these changes will come about through to May 18, in order to see if more cases come forward and understand better what the DETECT trial, the government's plan for going out and looking for the disease rather than waiting for people to come in sick and be tested, what that trial actually means. And we call again upon the government, remove the restrictions that are on doctors at the moment around testing, because the doctors know the community best and they need to be able to test in all circumstances where they think it's appropriate to protect their practices, their patients, and to give the community a true idea that there is no community spread. So basically what we're asking for is that the momentum of these changes, this 4-stage plan to restore movement in the community, restore gatherings to the community and economic activity, we're asking that that momentum does not override the need to slow down if and when we do see outbreaks of this disease. I think what we've all come to understand is that economic damage will be a lot worse if we have a lot of disease and a lot of deaths. The best way to solve the economic problems caused by coronavirus is to fix the health problem first. Premier said this morning, imagine if we had to go backwards because people do the wrong thing. Well, we have to imagine that as a real possibility, because I think it's a 50-50 as to whether we're going to get through this without having to step back. We have to think about that every day. And that's why we're saying use this time to use your imagination. Don't just go back to the way things were done. We can't have crowded workplaces anymore. We can't have crowded entertainment facilities anymore if there's community spread down the track. So use this time to reinvent the economy and business to do things smarter. The hospitals are ready to deal with a significant number of patients now, including in the private sector now. But they're not ready so that we can let people get sick and die by not doing the right thing in our community. There will be a significant proportion of people who, even with the best possible treatment, will not survive if they catch this virus. On this day, of all days, let's think of the elderly, but also recognise that this is a disease that can affect any age group and cause tragedy in families, and that's far more important than rushing back to being able to do the things we were doing before. Our mums matter to us all very, very much, but we don't always treat them as well as we could. And I think that there has been some positive aspects of this happening to us as a community. Let's not lose those positives as we return to the level of activity that we would like to see to give us hope going forward.
And that's all for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week, but for now, it's back to you, Ivan and Sarah.
Thank you, Nelson. This week's main news again. After implementing almost 7 weeks of social restrictions to contain the coronavirus, the WA government has officially released a policy roadmap detailing further moves to ease restrictions. The decisions were made following a national cabinet meeting earlier this week, where the federal government announced a 3-steps plan to normalise life in Australia.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website and social media pages.
Until 5:30 next Sunday, look after yourself, stay at home and have a pleasant evening.
Take care.